In this video, I'm going to share with you one of the most reliable and efficient ways to profit from bet builders in football. I call it the Don system. Now, don't let that name mislead you into thinking this is about reckless gambling or high-stakes aggression. It is actually the complete opposite. Bookies typically like bet builders, but they hate this particular system, and I'm going to show you the full system step by step in this video so you can create your own. So, go put the kettle on, and let's dive right in. Now, you might be wondering why something as simple as a bet builder can actually give you a professional edge, especially since bookmakers promote them so heavily in their marketing. The truth is, bookmakers absolutely love bet builders, but only when they are used the way most casual players use them. They want you to stack 4 different 3-to-1 selections and chase a complex narrative scoreline. They love it because in those volatile, high-odds constructions, the bookmaker's margin compounds heavily against you with every single leg you add. But this is where the behavioral difference of the Don system creates a real problem for their pricing models. Instead of those volatile long shots, we are focusing on combining selections that sit in the 1.25 to 1.40 probability range. When you work with these high-frequency outcomes, the compounded margin erosion is significantly lower, meaning you're effectively keeping more of the value for yourself rather than handing it back to the house. The bookmaker's entire model is built on the assumption that punters will construct their bets emotionally, trying to tell a story of how a game will play out. By removing that emotion and sticking to the 4-phase Don system, we are effectively removing the gut feeling and the improvisation that the bookies rely on to stay profitable. We aren't guessing or following a hunch, we are engineering a specific price threshold. This system follows 4 very specific, structured phases where there is absolutely no room for vibes or impulsive additions. It is that rigid adherence to the math that creates tension with the bookmaker's pricing. You are essentially turning a high-margin product, which they treat like a casino toy, into a precision instrument that targets their lowest margin areas. That fundamental shift from emotional construction to disciplined probability layering is exactly why this system can consistently beat the house over a long sample size. To understand why this works, we first have to look at phase 1, which is what I call match qualification. You see, not every football match is suitable for a professional bet builder construction. Most casual traders make the massive mistake of picking a game simply because it is on television or involves a team they support. They try to force a strategy onto a match that doesn't have the right statistical profile, and that is where the house edge starts to swallow them up. What we are looking for in this first stage is a probability-rich environment where the game is expected to be open and the tempo is high. To do this correctly, we look at the pre-match markets for a very specific signal. We want to see the odds for over 2.5 goals sitting below a price of 2.20. When the market prices the game this way, it tells us that the professional modeling suggests a scoring environment. We also want to avoid extreme underdog mismatches because those often lead to parking the bus scenarios where one team refuses to play, which kills our statistical averages. We are also staying well away from tactical suppression context, like the first leg of a cup tie where teams are playing for a draw, or a high-stakes relegation standoff where neither manager wants to take a risk. We want normal, open league matches. If the game doesn't meet these criteria, we simply walk away. We are filtering for quality because the Don system requires a solid foundation of expected goal-scoring action before we even look at the individual legs of the builder. By the way, if you like videos like this and want to see more on this subject, remember to click the like button. It tells YouTube to send you more of this kind of content. That leads us neatly to phase 2, which is selection type control. This is where we decide exactly what goes into our builder, and this is where most people get it completely wrong. The average punter uses bet builders to narrative stack. They try to tell a story of the match, like Team A wins, there are 6 corners, and the striker scores a header. That is a massive mistake because every time you add a specific volatile event, you are allowing the bookmaker's margin to compound heavily against you. Their models are built to exploit people who chase these jackpot stories. In the Don system, we approach this correctly by only choosing high-frequency outcomes that sit in the 70 to 85% probability range. We are layering probability, not constructing stories. We focus on team-based outcomes like over 1.5 goals or a double chance for a strong favorite. We look at over 3.5 corners or over 0.5 team goals. These are events that happen with incredible regularity in the matches we qualified in the first phase. We are avoiding the narrow statistical lines and the volatile outcomes like exact scores or specific minute props. We want selections that are stable. When you combine these high probability legs, the compounded margin erosion is significantly lower than if you were picking high odds long shots. We are building a structure that is designed to be repeatable over hundreds of games, focusing on controlled variance rather than looking for a single big win that may never come. By the way, guys, if you want to skip all the hard work and find the very best selections for your bet builders, then the Statto app will save you an incredible amount of time. As you can see, you just press the prompt for the market you're looking for and let the artificial intelligence do the hard work for you. It simplifies the whole process of finding high-frequency outcomes, meaning you spend less time scrolling through stats and more time executing your strategy. Now we move into phase 3, which is fragility elimination, and this might be the most important lesson in the entire system. A fragile leg is anything that is dependent on a single player or a single moment of luck to succeed. What most traders do wrong here is they get sucked into the glamour of player props, things like a specific player to score, to get an assist, or to be carded. The problem with these selections is that they introduce massive unnecessary volatility. If your star striker gets subbed off at 60 minutes, or if his tactical role changes because of a red card elsewhere on the pitch, your entire bet builder is dead. You have introduced a single point of failure that has nothing to do with the overall flow of the match. The way we approach this correctly in the Dawn system is by almost entirely eliminating player-based legs. We want our success to be tied to the team or the match as a whole. If we say over 1.5 goals, we don't care who scores them. If we say over 3.5 corners, we don't care which winger wins them. This makes our builder resilient to substitutions, tactical shifts, and individual player performance dips. We do have a small exception rule here. We only include a player-based leg if that player is a key 90-minute figure, like a captain or a vital centre forward, and only if the line is incredibly low, such as one shot on target. But even then, we use them sparingly. The core of your construction must remain team or match-based to eliminate that fragility. This is how we remove the luck factor and replace it with structural stability. Finally, we reach phase 4, which is odds targeting and structure control. This is where the math of the system finally comes together. The objective of the Dawn system is to reach a final price of at least 2.0, with an ideal range of 2.0 to 2.40. That is why Dawn stands for double or nothing. What most people do wrong at this stage is they get greedy. They see their builder sitting at 1.90 and they think, I'll just add one more player to score to get it up to 5.0. This is a disaster because once your odds approach 3.0 or higher, the required strike rate to stay profitable drops sharply. Your variance increases and the bookmaker's edge accelerates. We approach this correctly by staying disciplined within that 2.0 to 2.40 window. At odds of 2.0, your break-even probability is 50%. If your true strike rate, using the high probability legs and filters we've discussed, is between 52 and 55% over a large sample, you are mathematically profitable. It is that simple. For example, if you combine 3 selections at odds of 1.35 each, your combined price is roughly 2.46. If each of those has a true probability of 80%, your true probability for the whole bet is about 51%. That is where your edge lives. We also ensure correlation control, meaning we avoid stacking things that are all dependent on the same single event, like over 1.5 goals and both teams to score. We prefer semi-independent layers, like a goal line combined with a corner line and a double chance. This creates a much more stable base that can survive the natural ups and downs of football. Remember, this system requires volume. You need a sample size of at least 200 to 300 bets to see the true power of the math. You have to be prepared for the occasional losing streak of 4 or 5 games, but if you stick to the rigid structure, the long-term metrics of a 52% plus strike rate will see you through. Now, let's show you some examples of how these bet builders can look once they are made using this system. This is the Statto app, and to save time doing all the research to find these bets, we will just let artificial intelligence do the work for us. One press of the prompt in this match between Wrexham and Ipswich will give us what we are looking for. As you can see, over 1.5 goals with over 2.5 cards and over 5.5 corners. These are all high probability outcomes with low margin for the bookmaker, and none of these outcomes are fragile. Let's look at another match. Now I loaded up Villa versus Newcastle in the Statto app, and I let the artificial intelligence create the bet builder for me. Again, this is a great example of what to look for. It went for the double chance over 3.5 cards and Ollie Watkins shot on target. The Watkins shot could be considered fragile, but he typically always plays the full 90 minutes. You could always swap that bet for something else. And finally, let's look at Inter versus Juventus. I loaded this matchup in the Statto app and pressed the bet builder prompt. It came up with the double chance over 1.5 goals and Martinez shot on target, Martinez being a key player who usually plays the full 90 for Inter. Anyway, as mentioned, the Statto app is a game changer for finding value bets. You just let artificial intelligence do the work for you. Any match, any market, anytime. If you want the app, click the link in the description of this video or scan the QR code. I really hope this deep dive into the Don system has shown you that bet builders don't have to be a casino toy for the bookmakers. When you apply structural discipline and focus on probability stacking instead of narrative chasing, you turn them into a professional tool. Thank you so much for watching and for your time today. If you found this useful, please do hit that like button to let me know you want more content like this. As always, there is another video on the screen right now that can help you take your trading even further. I highly recommend clicking it and continuing your journey toward becoming a more disciplined and profitable trader. I will see you over there.